table here. So this is the card, and this original idea, well, I used to do a lot of these we called them side step cards, where you cut down and you do these fun little things. And I don't know, there's just something special looking about them. And then my friend, Lisa Curcio, she did this. I don't know what she called it, but it's definitely an off shape. And I was so drawn to it. I was like, that is such a cool idea. So, but then I just wanted to change up the sizes a little bit. I scored wrong on this one, but hopefully I won't on yours. Okay. So, I'm also using the Nature Walk paper and the I always forget what this is called, Nature Symphony bundle, the dies and the stamps. Okay, so that suite of products. All right, I'm going to just hit record there. Okay, let me grab, I'm starting out with a 4 1/4 by, okay, my screen froze. That's not a good sign. Okay, I'm starting out with a 4 1/4 by 11 inch piece. Now, typically, in fact, for my class, I have all of these already cut and ready to go. I did these first 2 score marks before I cut the paper. And I think it's okay now, is that I did these scores when the full sheet of cardstock was here, so that I could then cut it in half and they would both be scored. So I do that all the time. If I'm cutting a stack of cards, I will do all the scoring that I can first and then cut it in half, so that I don't have to do each small little piece. So our first marks on the long side are, let me get my measurements here, it's 3 1/4 or 3/4 of an inch. So we're measuring 3/4, and then we're going to go clear down to 6 1/4, which is right on this dark section right here. So I have to go down past the 6. I got to lift that up a little bit, and it's 6 1/4, and we'll score that. All right, now here comes the cutting part. We're going to fold on this line. I just want to burnish that and make sure that's nice and straight before I go on. Okay, so now you need a pencil, and you are going to just make marks up here at this fold. And the first mark that you're going to make is at 2 1/4. And I'm going to just leave this up because I can see where my track is here. 2 1/4 and 3 1/4 are the top ones. So we'll do those first. And then for the bottom, I'm going to come back over. The bottom, I'm marking at the 3/4 inch fold line. Okay. And that is at 1 and 3. Now I'm going to close this down just because it's going to be easier for me to find that mark. Try to get it on the line there. 1 and 3. All right. So not hard so far, right? All right, now I'm going to open this back up because we're going to cut now, but we only want to cut on the front part. And what I'm going to do now is put these little tick marks in the track. So I'm just going to scoot them till I see them right in the track. The most tricky part is figuring out where your cutting blade goes, because when you have it crooked like this, it's hard to know where to point to. So I just go in between, sort of make it sort of in between the score lines here on either side, and then I'm going to cut up there to that score line. I try not to go too far because I can always extend it a little bit if I need to, but I found that it's not really tricky. I've done this several times now, and it's like not a big deal if I go over a little bit or under a little bit. It's fixable. So I'm going to come up here to this one now. So I did the left one, and now I'm doing the right one. All right, now we're going to turn this again. We're going to turn it clockwise, and we're going to do 2 more score lines. Now we're going to put it at 1 1/2. So a half again from the 3/4, another 3/4 from that. And we're going to just score to our first cut line here. And then we're going to come over here, and we're going to score up to this cut line so that we're just scoring on the outside portion of this center panel, okay? Hi to Lara. Hi, Ruth. Hi, Barbara. I'm not sure that I said, but thanks for letting me know that it was coming through okay. And then the next mark is, did I write this down? Shoot, I did not. I know it's 3/4 of an inch from here, so it will be 5 1/2. I forgot to write that one down. Okay, because I want this to stand out exactly the same amount. So this line from here needs to be the same as this line from here. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so now we have a mark here and we have our marks here. We're going to first, I'm going to start down here on this first one. That's going to bend down like this. These next two outside ones are going to bend as a valley. And then this one up here is going to be a mountain. So you see what I mean by mountain, like it's up and valleys are down. Okay, so if you ever see that mountain valley, that's what that means. All right, now I also want to make sure that this lays flat. So I might have to force it just a little bit. You see there's a little bit of play in there because we're not perfect. So I'm just going to force that a little bit. It is probably a 32nd of an inch off, and so not enough to be a problem, but that way it lays completely flat whenever I want to send this. Let's just give a little pressure here to these folds so that they lay flat. All right, that is it, guys. That's the hard part done. Now, the next tricky part to me is always cutting those layered pieces when they are not even. But I figured out a really, really easy way to do it, and I just have to find my paper here. So I'm using this Nature Walk paper, and I know that I need it. I just want to try to walk you guys through this so that you can figure this out on your own if you ever get to this situation. So I measured from this score line to this score line, and it is 4 and like 5/8. So I measured this to be 4 1/2 high, and then I had to guess, and I'd rather have this a little wide than not have enough. But I want to show you how I figured out how to do this. So this slides in here, and I can give you measurements to mark this, but what if you did yours a little bit off compared to mine? Then these pieces would be off and it wouldn't look nice. So most of you that stamp with me know that usually I have like 1/8 of an inch little margin around everything, okay? So if we take this 1/8 of an inch, I'm just going to turn this here and hope that you can, let me get this back on here, it slid on me. I'm going to mark it from where this cut line is right here. And I know that, let me just zoom in a little bit for you guys because I know that, and I know I'm not at a good angle to show you, but so I'm marking from the cut line there. I'm coming down at the angle, and I'm just going to come in 1/8 of an inch so that I know that's where I need to cut that. Okay, so I'll put that there. Oh, I need to do one at the bottom too. Sorry, let me do that one quick. Again, I'm going to look at my cut line. I'm going to come in about 1/8 of an inch. I'm just matching the amount that I have. Oops, I need to scoot that a little bit. The amount that I have already around each edge. But as you notice, you have to hold it still. But you don't do this, you don't try to scoot it around to show everybody when you're doing it at home. So hopefully it won't scoot on you like it just did on me. Okay, now I'm going to bring it up top here because this top one comes up here. And I'm going to find my mark, which I cannot see in this light. I think this is it right here. So I'm going to put that mark right at my 1/8 inch from, I do need to make sure this is right though. This paper is mottled, so it's a little tricky. Sorry about that. Yeah, that is it. Okay. It looks so different when I bring it out of the shadow. Okay. make it a little darker. It's amazing how these lights are, whew, they mess you up. All right, so I'm bringing it 1/8 of an inch over from this edge and 1/8 of an inch over from this edge. And then I'm going to mark 1/8 inch from this edge. I know this sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, it makes your life so much easier. And then I'm going to tuck this back going under so that I can do this one. You notice how these are lower and this is higher because of how we cut it. And again, I'm going to put the same mark that I just did on here. And it looks like it might just be perfect. I don't have to cut anything off of that. So this was 3 3/4 by 4 1/2. So now I just need to cut from mark to mark here and hopefully see what I did. Oh, there, I see it. Okay, and where was this one? I'm very nervous about this because I'm telling you, this lighting is, wow, it is crazy. I'm hoping I'm not messing up compared to out in my stamp room. It was so different. All right, so those 3 pieces should be ready to fold on here or glue on here. And do I have glue? That would be the next thing. Let's turn it the right direction. And we'll just get our, hopefully, our 1/8 inch in here. Did that make sense to everybody? I guess it depends whether you're a visual or like if you just like things written down. I'm not a good direction writer. I am more of a hands-on teacher. So it's really hard for me to write tutorials, but I gave the exact measurements in my tutorial for those that want it exact. But however, like I said, it could possibly not be exact if you have cut the rest off a little bit. Now I am missing a piece here. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. Let me grab the rest of my pieces. I'm not sure. Oh, okay. That was for me to hit record, which I can't do because we don't have enough power to do that, I guess. This piece is 1/2 inch by 4 inches, and it just goes across the bottom there to finish out that pattern. All right, now for our saying, I took our Stylish Shapes dies and I cut a square, and then this little crosshatch design is cut in there with one of the dies from the Nature Symphony bundle, and I had to use that just because it's so cute. So, and then I just did a partial. Actually, I had these left from cutting for my classes, and for some reason I had done 2 extra. And I was like, okay, how can I design a card that will use these? Because I can't throw anything away. And so that's why I pulled this paper out, because I thought it would go perfectly. So we are going to turn this into this. Oh, I'm sorry. This card is a thank you card, but I want to do a birthday card because I know we all need birthday cards. So I grabbed a happy birthday from our lovely Arrangements dies, which will hopefully just fit across the top of this. And I probably should stamp on something here. And I'm going to put this guy over to the side so we don't cover him up. And I apologize if I get my head in the way. All right, that just barely fits up there. And then while we're stamping, this is our inside. I just want to make sure I have this turned the right way. I cut these a little bit smaller than they're supposed to be, but it doesn't matter. If actually what I could do is cut a little bit more off this side so that at least it's more symmetrical. Okay, so I'm using the big stamp from the Nature Symphony, and I didn't want it full strength, so let me just grab my scrap paper here. And we'll just get that stamped off a little bit, and then I just wanted it a little bit lighter so that I can write something in there. So let's start with the inside. See, now we have it nice and symmetrical around the edges. Okay. All right. So now we're ready to put our saying on here and do our bow. I'm going to pop this one up. I didn't pop my sample up, but then when I decided to add the ribbon like I did, I didn't have enough room under it to go like I really wanted it to. So, hi Karen, welcome. Thanks, Ruth. I hope that it makes sense. Now I'm popping these inside here just because I want to have space. I want to have a place to tuck my ribbon under. I learned a new ribbon technique. I think I showed it to you guys already, but I just love it so much that I want to do it all the time. Now, unfortunately, I think I might have got this over the edge somewhere too far, probably over here. So let me just scoot this in. Don't tear. Scoot that in there because this is going to overlap here a little bit. This pattern is a little tricky in how you add things. I tried several different things and they didn't look nice, like, because you don't want to cover up this angle, because that's what your focal point is, basically that cool angle. And so I had to get something small enough so that it wouldn't cover that. Hope that makes sense. Now I have to try not to cover up my birthday here, and that's going to be a little tricky, but I think I can make it work. So I'm going to just put glue from this side over, and I'm going to use my Tombow glue. Let's see, where did I have that? Right here. Because we don't want this sticking, because when you stand up your card, that's going to be standing. Okay. All right. So far, so good. We have our ribbon to do yet. And I decided to use this gold. I thought that we got rid of this gold, but we still have it. I'm so excited because I really I love anything that's see-through. And this, I'm going to cut this so that it's a little more banner-ish, maybe. And I found a really good way when I was doing this to just partial cut it. So just cut it so far and then start tying it. Because once you're trying to tie two pieces at a time, it gets really tricky. So you see here, I still have the whole piece, so I can tuck that under fairly easily and pull that tight. And then I will just work with this until I get it where I want it. And then I'm going to come in here with this bow part and just line that up and just give a little snip right down the center of this bow so that I can make it look like it was also loose. Does that make sense? That way I didn't have to try to push that through there while I was trying to tie two different things. All right, so now I have this all, it looks like I tied two together. All right, so this is the trick now that I had learned, and I don't even remember who did it, but she just took the bow and scrunched it down like this, pulled it all down together. Now look at that cute little banner-ish bow hanging down here. And I'm gonna put two glue dots on, one on the top, one on the bottom, and then one on the top. And then I'm just going to tuck that under here, maybe without like trying to undo everything. Maybe I should have done it before I stuck the dimensional down. Let's see if I can lift that up a little bit. So I want it right beside that dimensional. There we go. There we go. How cute is that, right? It looks like all these little tails coming down. Anyways, I hope that you like that little tip. I thought it was fun. Let's just trim these edges here. And there we go. And then I pulled out the, what are these called? Hexagon, because the colors were so perfect for this. So let's grab, and we'll do some of these. I'm so excited that we still have these in. And then I'm going to use, this is Lost Lagoon. My background is Lost Lagoon, and this other blue in here is Lost Lagoon besides the old olive. So those are the two colors that I'm using. So I'm going to use, this is Pretty Peacock, but this later shade is like a Lost Lagoon. So then I'm going to use those up here, maybe if I take it with me. And I'm sort of, I must have stuck it on the wrong side. I did this one in this pattern coming down my way. So this one I'm going to do up here and do an up pattern. And then because that's 4, I want to add a 5th one, and I'll maybe stick it over here. And I really want to go Pretty Peacock, but I'm going to like not get too carried away and go too dark with that. But now we have some shimmer and shine on a really fun standing card, and I'm hoping that you like that. I think it's one that when you send it, they're not going to want to